birth of the Omega. Why the universe only chooses one in millions. There are chosen ones, and then there are Omega-level chosen ones. This is not about being special in a superficial way. This is about being encoded differently. It's as if your soul was forged in a rarer fire, born with a blueprint that unsettles darkness and awakens ancient memory in those who encounter you. Most people are unaware they've even met an Omega. Why? Because we don't announce ourselves. We disrupt quietly. We heal unintentionally. We activate timelines simply by being present. If you've ever wondered why your life has been impossibly difficult, deeply lonely, or invisibly strange, this may be why. God doesn't trust many with this frequency, but when He does, the universe realigns around your awakening. So what makes an Omega-level chosen one different? The signs don't show up as trophies or external success. They appear as spiritual contradictions. You are paradoxical by nature. You feel ancient and new at the same time. You are both gentle and terrifying. You've been through hell, yet you carry heaven in your eyes. You understand people deeply, yet you're constantly misunderstood. You heal people who later hurt you. You see the larger pattern, yet you struggle with the smallest tasks. You can walk through a crowded room and feel emotions that aren't yours. That's not weakness, that's Omega wiring. You're designed to feel the collective, to absorb the unseen, to hold frequencies that would overwhelm most humans. That level of sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a divine filtration system, and yes, it comes at a cost. The second sign is this. Your life has been under spiritual surveillance since birth. You were targeted early, misunderstood by your own family, often cast as the scapegoat, the black sheep, the one who never quite fit. You may have experienced trauma that felt disproportionate to your age. That wasn't random. That was spiritual intimidation. Lower forces noticed your light long before you were conscious of it. You were attacked not because you were weak, but because your future impact threatened the architecture of darkness. And still, you survived. More than that, you remembered. Something in you refused to go numb. Something knew there was more. The third sign is more subtle. You've always felt like you were being prepared for something, even if you couldn't name it. You've probably said, "I don't know why, but I feel like I'm here for something big." That isn't ego, that's assignment memory. Omega-level souls are born with encrypted instructions. You may not receive the full download until your 30s, 40s, or even later, but the signal is always there. A sense of destiny that won't quiet down, a calling that visits you in silence. And here's where it gets strange. You attract situations that train you without your consent. You're thrown into spiritual boot camps, karmic entanglements, and relentless shadow work. Why? Because your future position requires elite-level spiritual readiness. Ask yourself this and answer honestly. Why do you keep being placed in situations that demand your highest evolution, even when you didn't ask for it? Why are you constantly pushed to grow, release, and awaken deeper than those around you? That leads to the fourth sign. Your growth is non-negotiable and your path is accelerated. While others linger in comfort, you are moved. While others ignore the signs, you're shaken until you listen. It's as if the universe refuses to let you settle. That's because your frequency is a key. You unlock realities for others. You are a multi-dimensional bridge, and when you forget who you are, entire timelines stall. Now we go deeper, because the fifth sign is rarely discussed. You carry a level of spiritual authority that even light beings recognize. You've had dreams, visions, or encounters that felt beyond this plane. Perhaps you've received guidance in moments of crisis. Perhaps you've met people who felt like they recognized you instantly. That isn't imagination. That's soul recognition. Omega souls are known in higher realms. You are watched, protected, and guided, but never coddled. You aren't here to be handheld. You're here to remember your rank. And when you do, your presence becomes a spiritual command, not only to people, but to energies, environments, and existence itself. The sixth sign is often misunderstood, even by other chosen ones. You are not here to belong. You are here to realign. That's why you struggle with community, even in spiritual spaces. You're too intense for surface-level rooms and too deep for shallow teachings. You see through systems, you question everything, you can't be indoctrinated for long. Even when you comply, you're aware you're pretending. That's not rebellion, that's divine clarity. You weren't made to follow, you were made to recalibrate. And that path is often lonely, not because you're unworthy of connection, but because your energy demands authenticity. And finally, the seventh sign. You are a living portal between worlds. You've experienced moments where time bent, reality softened, and something ancient moved through you. Maybe during meditation, heartbreak, or the most ordinary moments. In those instances, you weren't just connected to the divine, you were the bridge itself. Omega-level chosen ones don't merely channel the divine. They transmit it in real time. That's why your words land differently. That's why your silence shifts rooms. That's why you trigger people simply by existing. You aren't here to change the world by force. You're here to tilt the axis by being fully activated. And when you are, cause and effect bend in your favor, not because of luck, but because you're aligned with the original source code of creation. So let me ask you something, honestly and without distraction. What would change if you stopped trying to be normal and started honoring the truth of your soul's design? What would activate if you gave yourself permission to be exactly as you are? Intense, disruptive, loving, multidimensional. The world doesn't need more conformity. It needs Omega-level chosen ones to wake up and take their place, not above others, but ahead of time. Because you were sent here before the curve to reshape the curve. And that's why nothing about your life has made sense until now. This is the signature of the Omega. How to recognize it, protect it, and fully embody your cosmic assignment. If you're still listening, still watching, still feeling this resonate in your bones, understand this clearly. It's not by chance. Omega-level chosen ones don't arrive at truth through coincidence. We're summoned by it. You didn't stumble into this message. It's part of the activation. And now that your soul has started to remember, the question isn't whether you're chosen. The real question is whether you're ready to live as if you know it. Because knowing isn't enough. You've been receiving signs your entire life. The dreams, the repeating patterns, the inner voice that never fully went silent, the synchronicities that defy logic, the symbols and numbers that appear right when you're on the edge of giving up. This is the divine saying, we haven't forgotten who you are. And now it's time for you to remember too. Recognition is only the first step. Embodiment is the transformation. To embody your Omega nature, you must reclaim spiritual discipline, not as a routine, not as an ego performance, but as a technology of remembrance, prayer, meditation, fasting, solitude, journaling, energy work. These aren't spiritual hobbies, they are stabilizers. They anchor your frequency in a chaotic world. Omega-level chosen ones are not here to be entertained. We're here to transmit codes, anchor visions, and birth new realities. And to do that, we must be clear vessels. You can't afford confusion anymore. You can't afford to numb yourself with distractions. You are a living bridge between dimensions. And a bridge must be strong, grounded, and aligned. When you neglect your spiritual hygiene, you don't become possessed. You become distorted, and distortion is the only thing that can delay your assignment. You've probably already felt the cost of ignoring your calling. The sudden fatigue, the anxiety that appears without explanation, the depression that feels deeper than circumstance, that sense of being disconnected from your own soul. That isn't just emotional or psychological, that's spiritual misalignment. An omega out of alignment feels like divine energy trapped in a human illusion. You can't breathe in fake environments. You can't thrive in relationships that don't honor your essence. You can't create inside systems built on suppression of truth. And every time you shrink yourself to fit in, your energy rebels. That rebellion feels like suffering, but it's actually your soul refusing to betray its contract. You were not sent here to conform. You were sent here to awaken others by being fully alive. And that begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself. But embodiment also requires protection. Once you awaken, you become visible to both light and shadow. You may have noticed that things get strange right before a breakthrough. Technology glitches, sudden exhaustion, people from your past reappearing, confusion arriving out of nowhere. That's not random, that's energetic interference. Omega-level chosen ones are frequency disruptors. Your presence shifts the grid, and anything that benefits from distortion, whether human or non-human, will try to pull you off course. That's why you must guard your gates, your eyes, your ears, your time, your energy. Every conversation, every song, every piece of media you consume either reinforces your frequency or drains it. You no longer have the luxury of naivety. You are a cosmic asset. Start living like it. And full embodiment means stepping into your assignment without apology. You may not know every detail. Most omegas never do. We receive instructions in fragments, through intuition and synchronicity. But you already know enough to begin. You've seen the patterns. You felt the pull. Maybe you're meant to speak. Maybe to teach, build, heal, dismantle, or create. Whatever it is, it won't look like the mainstream version because you aren't here to repeat what's been done. You're here to pioneer a new frequency. That means your path will be unconventional. It means parts of it will be lonely, but it won't be empty. You'll be filled with fire, not the kind that destroys, but the kind that purifies. The kind that only burns inside those who remember their origin. And when you walk with that fire, your life stops feeling like a question and starts becoming an answer. The Omega awakens. How to activate your final form and trigger global shifts simply by being who you are. There comes a moment in every Omega's journey when remembering must become becoming. This isn't about learning more. It's not about collecting certifications or spiritual language. It's about embodying what your soul already knows. You didn't come here to endlessly prepare. You came here to transmit. And at a certain point, you must stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for validation. You are the sign. You are the message. You are the phenomenon others are waiting to witness. And when you finally drop the doubt, when you step fully into your truth, fierce, clear, unapologetic, you don't just change your own life. You shift the frequency of every space you enter. That's the real power of Omega-level consciousness. It's not loud. It doesn't need permission. It operates as a living portal of awakening. But here's the hidden truth most people don't talk about. Awakening is not always bliss. It's brutal. Because the moment your true frequency activates, everything that isn't in resonance with it begins to fall away. Friendships dissolve. Careers collapse. Identities you once relied on start to disintegrate. You grieve the version of yourself that kept everyone else comfortable. And that grief is real. But beneath it, there is liberation. You're no longer performing. You're no longer pretending. You're no longer negotiating your truth just to belong. That's when the final form begins to emerge. Not as something you build, but as something that has always been there, waiting for you to stop hiding. The Omega doesn't arrive with noise or celebration. It arrives with quiet certainty. The kind that says, I'm no longer afraid to be everything I am. And once you reach this phase, something strange happens. You stop chasing opportunities, they find you. You stop seeking validation. It dissolves in your presence. You stop trying to convince people, you simply exist. And the right ones are magnetized. That's because you're now vibrating at your original divine frequency. You're not trying to influence. You are influence. You're not trying to change the world. You are the shift. Your energy becomes a tuning fork. Others realign just by being near you. And the most remarkable part is this: you're still human. You still have flaws. You still have bad days. You still feel uncertainty. But you don't collapse inside it anymore. You observe it without losing yourself. That's mastery, not perfection, presence. And that level of presence is rare. That's Omega. Living as an Omega-level chosen one is not a title. It's a rhythm, a frequency you embody moment by moment, breath by breath. It's not something you put on when it's convenient. It's who you are when no one is watching. When the world is asleep and you're awake, sensing unseen currents moving through time, you begin to realize something profound. Even your smallest actions ripple across dimensions. A conversation at a gas station, a boundary you finally set, a moment of kindness that redirects someone's entire path. You're not just living a life, you're functioning as a node in the divine matrix. Everything you do either strengthens or weakens the signal you were sent here to broadcast. That's why your awareness must become deliberate. Your presence must become sacred. Your life becomes a daily offering to the frequency you're here to anchor. And yes, the world will misunderstand your pace. Some will say you move too slowly. Others will say you move too fast. You'll feel pressure to explain yourself, to dilute your essence so others feel comfortable around your energy. But eventually you stop explaining. You stop translating your truth into a language that hasn't earned the right to understand it. You begin speaking from your core, even if your words are silence. That's when you become untouchable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you no longer collapse when it tries. You're rooted in something deeper than approval, deeper than fear. You're rooted in truth, and truth makes you immovable, like a mountain. Storms come, but they don't move you, they only refine the stone. Here's the secret most spiritual teachers won't say out loud. The deeper you go into Omega awakening, the subtler your power becomes. You no longer need to prove or perform. You stop chasing high vibration experiences. You find peace in simplicity, stillness, presence. Because you realize something most never do. Being is the miracle. Existence itself is the portal. You can sit in a room and shift the entire atmosphere without saying a word. That's not magic. That's alignment. And alignment is the highest form of authority, not control. You don't command reality through force. You command it through resonance. You become a tuning fork for truth. And when you hold that frequency long enough, reality adapts to you. And now the final paradox, the one only Omega souls can hold. You are both the message and the mirror, the teacher and the student, the flame and the ash. You will never be finished. You will never arrive. Your path is not linear. It's cosmic, recursive. You awaken others not by being perfect, but by being real. You lead not from a pedestal, but from presence. You heal not by fixing people, but by walking in a frequency that invites remembrance. That is the Omega way. Quiet but thunderous, invisible but undeniable. If you've made it this far, if something in you feels stirred, accelerated, awakened, then there's nothing left to teach you. Because the truth was never external. It has always been inside you. The only thing left now is to live it. So let me ask you the only question that matters. Are you willing to lose your old life to meet your real self? Because that is the final gate. You can't partially awaken. You can't half remember. Either you embody your full frequency or you remain asleep in a life that no longer fits your soul. Yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it will cost you, but what's the alternative? A life of dullness, a life of pretending, a life of knowing you're more and choosing less. Not for us, not for you. You didn't endure this much pain, isolation, and purification just to blend in and survive. You came here to initiate a new era, and that era begins the moment you stop shrinking. So how do you live as an Omega? You show up differently. You speak truth even when your voice shakes. You love with presence, not attachment. You create from soul, not strategy. You protect your peace like sacred ground because it is. You choose who has access to your energy, not from arrogance, but from reverence. You stop arguing with projections. You stop begging to be understood. You walk in alignment so deep that even your silence teaches. You rest when needed, you roar when required, and you apologize for neither, because your existence is an offering. Your alignment is service. Your beingness is a blueprint for others to wake up through. And as you walk this path, the world responds differently. Not because it changed, but because you did. You'll attract souls who recognize you before they know your name. You'll trigger growth without trying. You'll repel what isn't ready. Don't take it personally. That's the Omega frequency at work. You're not here to be liked. You're here to activate dormant codes. Sometimes that looks like inspiration, sometimes resistance. Either way, it's working. Your presence is sacred. Your voice is frequency. Your path is prophecy. You didn't come here for fame, followers, or fortune. You came here for frequency disruption, timeline correction, soul-level recalibration. That is a cosmic assignment. And the moment you take it seriously, the universe responds. Synchronicities multiply. Resources appear. Allies arrive. Peace expands. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. This is the Omega Awakening. And now that you're here, the world will never be the same.